Now let's go ahead and go into college football. So I'm going to give it over to my co-host because I know he wants to open up with a couple things. We gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it today. So go ahead, co-host. What you got for us?
Listen, with conference realignment, that's the biggest news in college football. It's as simple as that. A lot of changes are going to happen over the next year, 2, 3 years. And so I think that it's already known that the best two conferences, especially with what's happening over the next year, is the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yep.
And so while I despise the SEC, not because of anything per se, I mean, the fans are really bad, but it's the media love for the SEC.
Yep.
And so while I think that they are very top heavy and deserving respect for your Georgias and your Bamas, the rest of that conference, let's not act like they all just beating every other team in the country. You have two tremendous powerhouses that have dominated. It's as simple as that. And then the rest of it, some really good football, and then you have average football as well.
Yep.
But look, I'm gonna start off previewing the SEC co-host because it's no doubt they've dominated the college football playoff air. With that being said, what they have on the line is can they win their seventh out of 10 national championship this season? And I'm gonna go out on a limb right now and say no. As good as Georgia is, their schedule leaves something to be desired. It's an absolute travesty, the schedule in which they play. And I think that will cost them. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be in the playoffs. It's not in question. But it's going to cost them when they go and play those top boys because they hadn't done it all season long. They'll get a game in the SEC championship if things fold out. I mean, play out, appropriately. But I'm sorry, I just think strength of schedule matters, and the SEC is so lauded, co-host, for playing them week in and week out. And this year was just one of those examples where Georgia, those cupcake games aligned with a very soft schedule in the SEC, terrible.
Yeah.
So my prediction for the SEC East. I got Georgia finishing number one, Tennessee number two, South Carolina number three, Kentucky number four. My controversial take is Florida number five, Missouri. Who does why you joined the SEC? I will never know because you were not ready for that football. And Vanderbilt, you've been in the SEC for a long time, and you really don't deserve to be there as well. Over in the SEC West, a much more competitive division. Bama, I predict to be number one. They have not won the division title in 2 years. They're coming back with a vengeance, in my opinion. LSU, who are the defending West champs, but I'm sorry, Brian Kelly, what you did last year was with a class that you did not recruit, and that entire team had nothing to do with Brian Kelly. And you've seen that in the growing pains, where he had all that talent and they struggled early on, came back to finish strong, but lost in that SEC championship game. I think that you will show yourself again. You'll lose one or two games and you'll be out of that, but you will finish second. Texas A&M number three, Ole Miss number four, Arkansas, Auburn, and Mississippi State round out that. Co-host, I don't know, man. I think when I look at this, it is one of those things where the SEC, in my opinion, has a chance for two college football playoff teams, but the only two are Georgia and Bama. And so just about how things shake out, who has if they both go undefeated, they have a chance for two in there. If one of them mess up and have one loss, it won't be Georgia because you're playing cupcakes. Alabama go in there with 11-1, and you lose to Georgia, you're out. So Alabama has to go undefeated to have a shot at it. So, anyways, um, what you got on the Big Ten?
Big Ten is shaping up to be another good year for the top, three or four in each I mean, each side at least. But it's interesting storylines this year. So number one, the main storyline is going to be Michigan and Ohio State. So that's going to be the biggest storyline in the Big Ten. It's funny how my co-host actually has them playing right now on the screen as we're talking. He's only messing himself up with it because September 23rd we see Notre Dame, and that's just going to be bad juju for him. What goes up to us just bounces off to him. But we are looking for redemption. We'll talk about Ohio State a little bit more later in the segment, but Ohio State's got to win it this year. They got to win against Michigan this year. This will be the third time in a row if they lose to them. And I'm sorry, Ryan Day, you be gone if it happens. They're gonna get you out of there. They're just as sticklers when it comes to that as they are as the team up north. But what I have for the Big Ten of them finishing before we get our more expanded Big Ten starting next year. Right now in the East, I have Ohio State winning the East. A lot of predictions are having Michigan win the East, but I have my boys winning the East, getting this redemption game. Michigan finishing second, Penn State finishing third, Maryland at fourth, Michigan State at fifth, Rutgers at sixth, and lowly IU, which we do play them the first game of the season, finishing out the East. In the West, we have Wisconsin. I have them winning the West, and playing them in the Big Ten championship game and going on and doing great things after that because we'll take care of Wisconsin. Then we have Iowa at number 2 in the West. We have number 3 Minnesota. We have number 4 Illinois. We have number 5 Nebraska. Number 6 we have Purdue, which they are also slated on our schedule, and number 7 Northwestern. Now Northwestern probably could have been a lot higher if they wasn't having their scandal things going on right now. But I think that's going to make a big play in their team because they actually are a solid team. They did really well last year, played us tough. But I think this whole scandal thing that's going on campus there is going to cause some issues. So they're going to finish out the West there. But that's what I got for the Big Ten. If there are any two teams to make it to the big dance, it would be Ohio State or Michigan. I think we actually also have a chance to have two Big Ten teams in the CFP. So, but it's going to come down between those two teams. There's no other teams out the Big Ten that I see making it to, to the playoffs. So we'll see. Should be an interesting, fall for the Big Ten. But I think this is probably going to be one of the more talked about conferences out the year. So.
Well, co-hosts, as always, to those that are new to our college football, we run. You're talking to the defending champ. We run a pickup
No,
series all season
no,
long.
no, 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 no. We can go back and I will replay the show if we need to. You better call it right. You better call it right now. Don't start out lying now.
Well, all I said was you're talking
You're
to
not the defending
one of
champ.
the. Yeah.
You're not the defending champ. I am, sir.
Well, they're also talking to you. With that being said, listen, because we got a couple minutes here. We have a short preview this week. All right, we're gonna give you just a little. I'm gonna give you real easy. I'm only got two games for you, co-hosts, because we're in what we call that week zero, right?
Mm-hmm.
Navy playing my Notre Dame, 13th ranked Fighting Irish in Ireland. Love it in Ireland. Who you got?
I'm going to go Notre Dame as the safe pick, but this is one I hope I lose with Navy beating y'all. So, but I'm going Navy for the safe pick. I mean, not Navy, but Notre Dame for the safe pick.
With the incoming transfer, Sam Hartman, I expect for him to start off his Notre Dame career in his Heisman run very well. He was named as a Heisman on the Heisman watch list. All right. Next up, we have San Jose State. Hey, look, I only got so many games to pick from, Coles. Don't kill me. San Jose State versus number 6 USC. Who you got?
Is it really? Do we really need to talk about that? Give me the Trojans.
We both got that. And we have, before at least next Saturday, we have a Thursday game. Florida Gators versus number 14 Utah at Utah. I'm going to go with Florida. Or I'm sorry, Utah
Yes,
and Florida.
yes, I will as well. Only because they're at home.
All right. Well, listen, we are running out of time here, and Coles, I tell you what, we have two previews for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We're going to go over their schedules. We'll talk more about it next week as well, but we're going to go over their schedules, and we're going to go over Ohio State's season and the preview for them and their schedule. And we're going to do this in our overtime segment